Thanks very much, David. Hi, Andy.
Hey, Cocky.
Good to see you. I hope you're all safe on this day. Looking back at the game last weekend against France, what are the sort of almost coach speak key learning things that you've had to take from that game in terms of trying to move forward?
Quite a bit, actually, as you could, or as you would imagine, regarding an occasion like that. There's quite a lot of learnings. I'd be here all day if we started going through them all, really. But I think that the learning for us is how we make sure that we put our game out there on the pitch under trying circumstances. And like I said after the game, congratulations to France. I thought they played outstandingly well. But I think certainly in the first half, if not the first 20 minutes, I thought we could have been more accurate, more disciplined with how we played our game. And I'm not just talking about discipline with the referee. I'm talking about inaccuracies, which led to ill discipline, etc. So some good learnings there, but I stand by what I said after the game as well in regard to the fight and the want and the spirit that we had to come back into the game and give ourselves a chance. That was obviously in the review as well.
And assuming that you learn from this and move on, is that a sort of valuable learning experience? I mean, nobody likes losing a match, but provided that you take on board what you can, it could prove to be quite an important thing going forward.
It has to be. It has to be, because otherwise it stands for nothing, doesn't it? So yeah, there's a lot of learnings that's come out there in the last couple of days, and we've had a good hit out against the under-20s this morning, and some of those learnings have been put into practice.
Just a final question for me, if you don't mind. I mean, are you looking, or do you think you could get more impact from the bench in terms of the role that they can play, in closing out the game?
It's always something that we talk about, Corky, and you'd always like to start the game well. You would always like every period of the game to be well. So it's always something that we talk about, and obviously having an impact when you come on is one thing. Making sure that you fit into what the team wants as well is another one.
Cheers, thanks, mate.
Cheers.
Is anyone trying to come in there, lads?
Yeah, hi, how's it going? Hey, Andy.
How you doing?
Can I just get your reaction to losing Ronan Kelleher for the rest of the Six Nations? He's obviously had a pretty positive start to his Irish career.
Yeah, it's disappointing for Ronan and for us. Obviously, Ronan's kicked off his international career with a bang, and the more experience that he keeps getting at this level, the better he's going to keep on becoming. But injuries are part of our sport, and how we deal with that, how Ronan deals with that as a young professional, he's going to help him down the track as well. And obviously, him being out to the Six Nations will give other lads an opportunity to step forward.
Yeah, hooker is probably a position a few people were looking at when Rory Best retired, given he was there for so long. But now, Ronan started so well. Dan Sheehan stepped up off the bench last week. The likes of Dave Harton back with Connacht again this week. Do you see that as a position of strength now in terms of squad depth, even though a lot of the kind of leading candidates for the jersey now are relatively inexperienced at this level?
Yeah, there's obviously some inexperience, but there's some talent, isn't there, that we're trying to give experience to, and Ronan obviously is part of that, and Dan's doing really well. It's a fantastic occasion for him and learning experience for him, going to Paris and playing so long there. But when you say is it a competitive position, well, it obviously is, because there's competition for places, and that's exactly what we want.
Finally, then, can I just ask the latest on Johnny, and do you expect to have him fit for Italy?
Yeah, no, all good. He's going through his protocols. He joined in training yesterday. He's going through the end stages of rehab, and we expect him to be fully fit next week.
Great, thank you.
Thanks.
Hi Andy, how are things?
Good, thanks.
You touched on discipline there a little bit, and particularly in that first half, give away 4 kickable penalties and 1 just after half time. What are the areas you're going to work on now going forward to tighten up and eradicate those issues going forward?
Just the same as we always do. We've certainly not got an issue with discipline at all. In fact, we're an unbelievably disciplined side, and quite a few of the penalties that were given against us weren't through just ill discipline. There was through inaccuracies on our part. As far as understanding of how to do our jobs properly, i.e. the breakdown, etc. It's something that we've been really strong in certainly in the last 5 or 6 games, and there's a little bit of inaccuracy there that led to penalties. So discipline just isn't about people being offside or doing things illegally. Discipline you tend to fall on the wrong side of it if you're inaccurate in things.
And how much of that is an experience thing, I suppose, for a lot of these players implementing this game plan where it's very expansive, it's heads up rugby, playing that against one of the best defences in the world, in the Stade de France, in front of the full house. How beneficial will an experience like that be for this team in terms of imposing this game plan on teams going forward?
It'll be huge. I think one of the work-ons for ourselves was we didn't back ourselves as much as what we possibly could have done. So when you say expansive, I thought we missed a few opportunities that we could have exploited a little bit more. So there was a few opportunities that were missed for us out there, and that would be more of the learning.
And then just finally for me, Joy came through with flying colours. He put in a really comprehensive performance at a level that he probably hasn't started at before. Will you look to expose him to more of those environments, possibly against England or Scotland with the start, to build on that for going forward?
Oh, we'll see. I mean, it's not for me to know, nor would you expect me to say who's going to start and who's not. We'll leave that to see how things unfold. But the experience was great for him. The feedback on that experience has been great for him again today. And like I said, we train against the 20s today, and he's put a few of those bits that we've talked about onto the field today. So he stands him in good stead, doesn't it, to push on with his career.
Cheers, Andy.
Thanks.
Sorry, Pirates, you trying to get in there?
I'll jump in there if that's all right.
Okay, we'll take the last couple.
Hi Andy, how are you?
Good, thanks.
Andy, the lads have her in for a 2-day training camp, and I presume they had a couple of days off. What's it like for the management team? Do you get a chance in the middle of a Six Nations, a campaign like this? Do you get a chance to have a full day off, or any downtime, or is that on the cards at all?
I wish. Listen, it doesn't really matter as a as a coach, or as management, you've got a responsibility to be forward thinking on what the plan is going forward, etc. So your mind's always ticking over, and there's always something to do, especially as a head coach, regarding numbers and management and all this type of things. So it's nice to get the break away from one another, even though we enjoy each other's company. I suppose after a loss, you'd like to get back on the horse as soon as possible and get everything out there to get back on the road, and everyone to feel better, that everyone's on the same page, etc. But within our planning, obviously the Six Nations is an 8-week competition for us, and it's important that we get the rest, we recover the bodies and mind, and get ready for next week.
Yeah, and there was just a couple of articles recently about the diversity in the makeup of the French team, and then over the last couple of days about the narrow base in which the Irish team comes from schools, and obviously a couple of foreigners as well. From your experience in dressing rooms as a player and a coach, is diversity in a dressing room a positive, and is it something that could benefit Ireland if there was more diversity of where the players come from?
100% is a positive. I mean, first and foremost, whoever's in the room, and we're talking about international level now, he's got a warrant getting picked, hasn't he? You know, he's got to be good enough first and foremost, and that's an absolute given. But whenever we get new guys coming into our group, you see the bond with them straight away. You know, somebody coming in from the outside like Mac Hansen coming in and obviously he's an Australian accent, etc., and other guys from different countries who have earned the stripes to play for our country. You see the bond and the friendships grow straight away.